Kobe had Shaq, or Shaq had Kobe, however you want to look at it, and a bunch of good players, a bunch on those Lakers squads that won those championships, the first three, a bunch of good players. The second go around, they weren't as star-studded, but they were some really good players. Really good. I mean, we even got to see the best of Andrew Bynum. We got to see the best that Andrew Bynum was ever going to be able to offer the NBA. And it wasn't bad. You know, Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom, Ron Artest, Kobe, Derek Fisher when they brought him back. Really good. And they had some all right players on the bench. Not as deep as those Shaq Kobe teams. But I don't think this is a fair assessment by Gilbert Arenas. You know, I talked about, what was this dude's name I mentioned yesterday? Ricky Davis. That used to play for the Cavs. When LeBron first came into the league, Ricky Davis said something, and maybe this is why he was on that most hated list I did yesterday. Ricky Davis came when LeBron came into the league, and it was obvious that LeBron was going to be the man in Cleveland. I mean, there was never any question about it. Ricky Davis is on record as saying, I thought they brought LeBron in so that we could be a good 1-2 combo. But obviously that's not the case. You don't say Ricky. Where is Ricky Davis? I don't know where he is. Does anybody know where Ricky Davis is? Yeah. Kind of like that. You know, while LeBron has not won all the championships, he hasn't won all the finals that he's gone to. I mean, you got to be fair, man. I mean, most of those appearances have just been on LeBron. Just on LeBron. With the Cavs the first time, guess what? They just didn't have enough talent. He got them there. They just didn't have enough. You know, that first championship they lost in Miami, I'm not sure what that was about. I have no idea why they didn't win that championship, but they lost. Congrats to the Mavs, you know. Then they won those back-to-back. Then they came back and lost to San Antonio. So, you know, he hasn't won, and then this year they end up losing to the Warriors, the Cavaliers, that is. So he hasn't won, you know, all the championship appearances that he's been in, a la Michael Jordan. But but you got to look at the situation. He just didn't have enough. You know, if the Cavaliers had just had one more player that could have helped LeBron in the NBA Finals, you don't know what might have happened if Kyrie Irving had been healthy. I mean, because everybody needs somebody. I mean, hell, basketball is a team sport, right? It's a team sport with a bunch of individual stats. Who's won a championship by themselves? I'll wait. Did Jordan? Absolutely not. Jordan was all of that and was not winning championships. Jordan was the leading scorer. Jordan was this. Jordan was that. Jordan was no championships. But then you bring in Scotty. Then you bring in a Horace Grant. Then you bring in a Phil Jackson to coach it all up. All right. Thanks, Gilbert. We'll talk to you in a couple more years, brother. Appreciate it. All right, so college football. Let's talk college football really quick. Got about 11 minutes before we shut it down for the night. But college football, we have the actual preseason poll is out. If you guys would like to, the coaches' preseason poll. And we'll run through that really quick. Starting at number 25, you got Tennessee. Last year, they were 7-6 on the season. Coming in at number 24, Boise State last year, 12-2. Number 23, Missouri, 11-3 last year. They were the SEC East champs. You know, they've won that thing back-to-back years. Number 22, Arizona. They finished the season 10-4 last year. Coming in at number 21, it's Stanford at 8-5 last year. Arkansas finished the season 7-6. That's good enough to get them right at number 20 this year. Oklahoma comes in at number 19. Wisconsin, number 18. Georgia Tech, number 17. And you know what's crazy about this? Is that Georgia Tech is really expected to make a push in this ACC this year. So it should be interesting, you know, for Georgia Tech, you know, for those of you that are in the Metro Atlanta area or watch Georgia Tech or whatnot, you know, I've seen some very exciting versions of this Georgia Tech team. I know a lot of people complain about the triple option because they just run it. But when Georgia Tech has had a good receiver, you know, it has just made that offense so much better. So hopefully this year, you know, they'll be able to, and you know, that's what allows them to, you know, to win more. I mean, they've been able to win more when they've had those go-to receivers. Because, you know, you run, then you got a big 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" wide receiver out there just running one route, go, you know, and the defense is biting every time. So Georgia Tech, I expected to do big things. I like to see that. While I'm not the biggest Georgia Tech fan, you know, I always, you know, bleed the red and black. Sick 'em, dog, sick 'em. Woof, woof, woof. Good to see Georgia Tech checking in at number 17. Arizona State comes in at number 16. Mississippi at 15. Then you got UCLA coming in at number 14. LSU, number 13. Checking in at number 12 is Clemson. Number 11, Notre Dame. And you know what? And I didn't talk about this about 2 weeks ago. But, you know, Notre Dame, I don't know. They're saying that Notre Dame is supposed to be pretty good this year. And, you know, if they go undefeated in their regular season schedule, you know, there are coaches that are saying that they still don't deserve to be able to go into the college football playoff because they don't have a championship game. And it's also a scenario where you look at Notre Dame and you say, okay, well, you guys, basketball-wise, you're in the ACC, which makes no sense, but you're in the ACC basketball-wise. Why won't you join the ACC football and join a conference? Join your athletic conference. Why remain independent in college football? I mean, because we saw a few teams last year that don't have conference championships or didn't play in conference championships, and they were left on the outside looking in. They finished, 5-6? You know, I don't know what it is about Notre Dame, but I don't know. I mean, if they go undefeated, that means diddly squat to me. All right, number 10, Southern Cal, USC. Last year they checked in at number 21, and they're saying for everything, and I'm not a big SoCal fan, but from everything that I'm hearing, this is supposed to be USC's year to return to glory. And so if that's the case, you know, I'll be watching. I mean, I always like to see a good, fast team. I mean, you know, USC was very exciting back in the day. You know, with Reggie Bush and those guys. Oh, Lindell White. They were very exciting. Very exciting. Georgia checks in at number 9. And this year's coach's preseason poll. Florida State, number 8. Number 7 is Auburn. Number 6, Michigan State. Number 5, Oregon. Number 4, Baylor. Number 3, Alabama. Number 2, TCU. And number 1, the reigning college football champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes, check in at number 1. And this is going to be really interesting once the season gets underway to see how this whole Braxton Miller thing plays out, because Braxton Miller, if you haven't heard, the highly touted quarterback, the award-winning quarterback for Ohio State, has switched over to play wide receiver. And so now, he's a big target. And, the real deal is that once he went to the NFL, if he made it to the NFL, 9 times out of 10, they were going to convert him to another position anyway. A wide receiver, tight end, something like that. So for him to go ahead and start getting these reps with Ohio State, that's going to put him ahead of the game when it comes to next year. So he won't be like a guy whose footsteps he's following in a Terrell Pryor, who, was a great quarterback for Ohio State, but got to the NFL, and, it didn't quite work out. I mean, he tried for, 3 years to make a team as the quarterback, and then finally this year, or maybe 4 years, but this year he finally decided that he was going to go play wide receiver. If there was ever a chance of him actually making an active roster and really being able to get on the field, the only way he was going to do it was to switch positions, and he did it. So now, again, Braxton Miller is ahead of the game, and more power to him. I mean, this might turn out to be like the lethal weapon for Ohio State. You never know. I mean, this might, and they're trying to play it like, well, he's not going to play. He's going to play some snaps at quarterback. Yeah, bull, and he's going to play quarterback. What y'all going to do? The Wildcat? Because I know he's not going to take any snaps over the 2 guys that you got playing right now, Jones and Barrett. I know he's not going to take snaps over them unless they get hurt. Oh, and you know what? Before I forget, I'm talking about Ohio State and talking about Terrell Pryor and all that good stuff. But to follow up on something that I briefly mentioned in the headlines yesterday or day before yesterday about this Ohio State thing, the suspensions. They've suspended several players versus the Virginia Tech Hokies in the season opener. And Joey Bosa, one of the nation's type defensive players, as I just mentioned, those 3 other players have been suspended. The players are Jalen Marshall and Dontre Wilson and Corey Smith. They're going to sit out because of unspecific violation of athletic department policy. Not sure what that means. Haven't heard what that means. I haven't heard anybody break down whether that means they broke curfew or they were getting drunk or they were getting high or I'm trying to think of anything else a college student could do that would be a violation of athletic department policy. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe messing with girls. Maybe I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. But anyway, these guys are all, suspended for the first game. And, Bosa, standout player for the Buckeyes, had 55 tackles last season. He had 21 tackles behind the line for a loss and 13 and a half sacks. And so, it's just a game. But one game could make you or break you in college football. We all know that. It could make you or break you. So there's that. But anyway, I didn't get through everything I wanted to talk about, but, there'll be another day, another time for that, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so don't forget, when we're not here, we're there. There is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. I don't know about this. I keep saying I'm going to try to figure out this Tumblr thing. And maybe I'll sit down over the weekend and really try to work it out. Because I like to be able to reach more people if possible. So if anybody knows about Tumblr, you can always shoot us an email, sportskingslive@gmail.com. But yeah, so I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Of course, we are being heard via Spreaker.com and iHeartRadio.com. Oh, man. I want to tell you that we'll be back tomorrow, but that all depends on how my work schedule goes. I got to keep it real. Got to keep it real. Things getting